Hi guys, welcome back to the Supercoach Swordplay podcast. This is our special mailbag segment for season 5, episode 10. You may have already watched the Supercoach Swordplay potty, the weekly potty just uploaded early today. And now here we are for the mailbag. So without further ado, we'll get straight into it. I'm here with Rossco and DR. Here we go, boys. Here's a question.
Let's go, brother. Let's turbo.
Avid fan from the US. All right, the main question here is thoughts on Peatling. With Crouch out 4 to 6 weeks, bit conflicted. Can he be a potential replacement, Caleb Daniel? DR, I'll just pass this straight to you, mate. Daniel for Peatling, yes or no?
I'm going to say no at this stage, mate, because I think it's more of a short-term play. Who knows what's going to happen when Crouch comes back in, if he does or not. I'm really not too sure. He's someone that we were thinking about around that 300, mid-300s range. But given the fact he's already made a bit of cash, even though the role's looking really good, I don't see him as being a long-term keeper when I'm comparing him to your Warner types and your Track types and your Horny Man types. So I'm going to say no at this point, but it could work out in the short term for you, brother. Thank you very much for watching as well, all the way from the US. And apologies that the time zones just don't align, unfortunately, mate. But appreciate your support, brother.
All good. All right, Andrew Racek. I'll give this one to you, Rossco. Thoughts on Caden Cleary down to Boxall, then bringing Zorka for Riley Bice. So basically, Zorka and Boxall for Bice and Cleary.
It depends. If you don't own Sardale Hawley and financially it sort of works to go that way, I'd probably prefer him over Boxall. But I don't have an issue with a downgrade to get Zorko for Bice. I think that's two good trades. Just depends on who you already own, Andrew. And, I think Boxall could end up being a dead rookie.
Yeah, I agree. But equally, I think that you could keep Caden Cleary as well, although I know you probably need the money there to facilitate that move. Awesome. Cat up. After trades this week, how many rookies will you have on field? Personally, for me, mate, I'll have 4. So Zach Reed, Xavier Lindsay, Levi Ashcroft, and Max Hall at the moment is what I'm looking at. Max Hall could be Jackson Pryor with just in that flex position there. And to answer that second question, mate, do you think with your own team lack of cash gen, will you end up at full primo? I was having a look at that, actually. I've got 9 assets, let's say, to get the 7 players that I want in. So they're still going to need some cash gen to come through, but I think this is where picking off those value primos like Warner, like Dawson may come in handy. Boys, DR, very quickly, how many rookies do you still have on field?
On field,
After trades?
So
yeah.
After trades, I'll be getting Sinclair in. I've got 4 rookies on field. So that's Zach Reed, Levi Ashcroft, Elijah Hewitt, and most likely Xavier Lindsay at this stage, buddy.
And Rossco?
For me, I have Zach Reed, someone in my midfield. I'm planning on looping. I just need to choose who, probably between Gross, Huswaite, Boxall, depending on who plays.
Yeah.
Levi Ashcroft, Mateus Filippo, if I go that way to trade him.
Not a rookie.
I wouldn't count him. Yeah.
And Lindsay. Yeah, so 4 there as well.
Yeah.
Awesome, mate. Supercoach HQ. Hey, boys, love your work. All my trades look horrible. Would you like to take a punt on a Sheldrick type with Mills Adams as a test? Probably not.
No, not for me.
He just screams a sub candidate, even when he gets a full game. I just can't see him sticking around long term. Unfortunately, one of those players which all preseason hype just doesn't get a good run of things. Awesome. Hey, Danny. Oh, hey, legends. SPP Bice Daniel to Sinclair Merritt Al Hawley. Ooh. What do you think?
Yes. I think that's fine. Merritt.
Can I jump in here? The only reason I say that is Merritt was one of my upgrade targets last week, but I get so scared looking at that upcoming schedule. Yes, he's got Richmond next week, but Dogs this week, difficult. Lions the following week after that, difficult. And then on the run home, GWS, Bulldogs, Sydney, Geelong, St Kilda. 5 straight games of either tough matchups or tags. And we know that when Merritt is the one you tag in that Don's midfield.
I don't mind Josh Dunkley this week. I can see that you don't have Josh Dunkley there, so I'd probably be going Dunkley over Merritt. Danny?
Dunkley over Merritt, yeah. And get Dacos in next week, if you can.
Yeah, I'd wait a week. Like, that break-even's extremely high, so you'd be getting him at absolute value, or even the week after, if you can wait.
Rossco, all good?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jules,
Jules.
out of plays for you, mate. Oh my goodness. Dacos, Spice, Flynn out. Janath, Sicily, Dawson in.
I knew Jules would go CJ. That is such a Jules pick. That is a Jules pick all over. I love that. A Dacos out.
Oh, he's not going to drop that much. When you have a play like Dacos, you can't trade them out. Yes, it's a stocky, but nah.
I'm going to say no to that. I think it's your type of trade, Jules. And yeah, go for it, mate, because it's you all over. But I couldn't bring myself to trade out Nicky Dacos myself, brother.
Rossco?
Yeah, I don't know about Sicily either. And even Dawson, like I own Dawson, and he's up and down like a yo-yo.
Yeah, Rossco's just smashed all three of the picks, mate. I was only having a crack at Dacos, yeah, but Rossco's gone bang, bang, bang. There you go, Jules. All the best, brother. Much love, man.
If there's less speculation in the trade-ins, I could advocate for it more, but not with trading out Dacos. No way. You know what he's going to give you. He's just had a bad couple of weeks. All good. Danny. Holmes. Oh, is this the same Danny? It is the same Danny. All right. 2 questions. Holmes or
Danny.
Dale? Dale has 9 games of Marvel. Holmes is a great run. I'm going to go Holmes straight off the bat. We talked about it a lot on the potty. DR.
Yep.
As a Dale.
I own Dale, and it hasn't been a fantastic experience. Nice couple of weeks, but I would go Holmes, even though Holmes is a bit up and down himself. Also got the DPP, which is handy. So Maxi Holmes.
Rossco?
Yeah, I think there's a case to be made for both. Like, I probably like both of them as value selections. Probably Holmes just maybe with the midfield flexibility, it allows you to swing the magnets as well.
Yeah, awesome. All right, we'll go on to JG question. Our Swordplay brother here. Thoughts on Liam O'Connell? Rossco, I'll give it straight to you. Is he the best downgrade target, if not Boxall, if not Al Hawley?
Well, I agree with what JG's saying here. The job security is probably there, I think. He does a lot of sort of courageous things that don't get rewarded in Supercoach that I think Ross the Boss really likes. However, I don't really like his scoring. Like, he sort of plays like a lockdown sort of nullifier role. Like, he can play tall or he can play small. He's not really a distributor, and he's not really an interceptor either. So like the 43s and 49s, probably you're getting 60 as his ceiling, and that's probably his floor, you know? Like, if you want to get someone in who'll just slowly churn over cash, then yeah, but don't expect anything quick. But that said, I think he probably does hold for 6 weeks.
I own him, and I think he'll score similar to like a Connor Stone, I think, in regards to scoring output. That's the best way that I'd put it.
Yeah. Without
all the best, brother.
Yeah. Causa, the ladies' man blacklist.
Ladies' man.
Thoughts on Caleb Daniel, Bice, Kako to Martin Sinclair, El Hawley. Or Bice, Kako and Cleary to Holmes / Martin Sard, Zach Reed for cash.
Getting Zach Reed in.
At 380k, not even the bravest Zach Reed advocate could go there. Cause I reckon it's going to be very tough to match his performance on the weekend. That first set of trades, I'm happy with. Nick Martin.
As long as Martin stays behind the ball, I really like him behind the ball. He can still score pretty well when he moves forward of the ball. He's certainly going to be a pod pick with some nice DPP. So I could live with the first one. I just think of week to week, and I'd much rather Martin as a pick, but I could see Daniel outscoring Martin one week than Martin smashing, the next. I'd much rather have Martin, but yeah, I still think Nick's a bit of a speculative type pick, but I'm still good with the trade, particularly Sinclair in.
I'd prefer Holmes over Martin, though. Roscoe, would you?
Yeah, that's what I would say as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Logan, hey lads, these would give me Gorn, Roma, Cherry. Doesn't really upgrade the team. So what is it? DeConning and Daniel to Cherry and Filippo. Oh, it feels so wrong, but at the same time, that's probably points on field you're getting. Cherry at 682k. If you didn't get him in at 570 or 560 or what he got to, it's just so hard. This is what I worry with Jack Sinclair as well. Like a player that almost feels like a gift off a price at 530. That's what Cherry was. He was a gift, sort of thing. At 682, he's going to come down at some point. It's not sustainable to carry out this form. And the buy is coming in 2 weeks. Boys?
I'm not the type of player to do this, so it's against my strategy. But if you compare this, the points you'd be getting on field, I'd probably have Philippou in a midfield role, out averaging Daniel, or be pretty similar output, and you're making 130 odd K there. And Sherry to DeConning, that could literally be how many extra points on field each week? That is a fair upgrade. So not for me, but if you're that type of player, I can advocate it, but probably a no, generally speaking.
I think if you're going to vice, you're going to consider vicing or captaining Cherry over the next couple rounds, then I'd do it. Yeah.
No, fair point. And same with Lincoln here. He's at 600 overall. Nice. Boost TDK to Cherry.
Well, I just said no to that. It's 600 overall. Damn, it's a lot of extra points you're getting, isn't it? And Rossco, you just mentioned a good point. He's actually a captain option. And I don't know if Big he had Gorn, but imagine if he's adding Sherry to Gorn there. Well, if he's got TDK, surely he's got Gorn. You'd assume, wouldn't you?
You would think, yeah.
So
if he's 600th, definitely, probably.
The Twin Towers. Imagine just being able to VCC them every week.
Yeah.
Oh,
back to the old days of set and forget, Grundy and Gorn.
Yeah, exactly right.
But Roscoe, you're saying Richmond this week, West Coast in the week after the bye, so in that second bye round, Fremantle in the third bye round, and then Carlton in the fourth bye round, like for Sherry, that is. Like it's a pretty disgusting draw.
Maybe you do. You just
maybe it is just one of those rule breakers there. Awesome, mate.
Yeah.
Jack, hey legend. Hope you're well. Last week brought in Fontian, traded Pryor, Merritt for Clay Hall. Oh, it's so tough, mate. What do you think of Elijah Hewitt or Cleary to Simpson / El Hawley? Bias to either Clark, Sinclair, Holmes. We all gave our thoughts on that, mate. I think it's okay to go Cleary to El Hawley this week, save Simpson for next week. Then bias to, I rank it as Sinclair, Holmes, Clark, DR, you are Sinclair Clark,
Holmes. Yeah.
Ross, you are?
Flip that around. Holmes, Clark, Sinclair. I think we can wait a week on him.
Well, I don't think we've helped you out, Jack, but we've got you, Sinclair number one.
The trade concept is good.
Third. But the concept is good, yes.
531K in the bank.
Yeah.
I'd be looking today.
I think 531K for the upgrade.
Just spend on those upgrades. Yeah.
But yes, all good. The other thing I might consider is, I don't really advocate this, but instead of going Sard and going Simpson, perhaps you might have the extra money to get a Naz, if you want to go out there in that direction. But keep it up, Jackie, mate. All right, Dylan, g'day, lads. Ticking this one off. So that's Naz, Merritt, El Hawley, Short, Daniel, Bice. I don't like Merritt as a pick, even though I liked him last week. Just having a look at that picture.
Same advice from me. I'm going Dunkley.
Dunkley?
Personally. Yeah, he doesn't have Dunkley.
Dunkley looks good. Yeah. And even Tom Green as a potential option.
Yep.
Left field. A bit of a pod move there, mate.
Yep.
Boys,
I'll tick that off. Yeah. I'll tick that off, generally speaking. Yep.
Awesome. And you don't have a Nick Dacos upgrade to plan for next week, which is something that I think a lot of coaches, I myself am thinking, with Dacos to play North in 2 weeks, I want to get in Dacos next week. At a 570, have to find a way to get that done.
Yeah.
Awesome. Abs, hey lads, which one of these two do you prefer? Flynn and Daniel, Cherry and El Hawley, Bison Clear, Sinclair and El Hawley. The first one feels so wrong. It defies all the principles of getting the rookies off field sort of thing. But there's so many points on field you can get from this trade.
Daniel, Sherry, I'm going to lean towards 2. It's your more traditional type style setup with your 1 up, 1 down. Just though, Abs, it could so go either way, man. It could so go either way. It's maybe I'm a Cherry owner, so I'm looking at this lens a little bit differently. I've already got the bloke, but I'm still going to go just traditional. I'm like 51-49. So close.
Rossco?
Yeah, I think the bottom option is safer, but the top option, if you captain Cherry, could give you a lot.
Maybe it comes down to if... I know it's so weird saying this, but maybe it does come down to if Flynn is the sole ruck this week. Because you can get away with it with Flynn.
That'd be massive.
But Cherries, you want to have him. You want to have him.
Yeah.
Cheese, is it time to put some respect on Hugh McCluggage and take him seriously as an option? Look, I think that we haven't, like, even on today's potty, we didn't mention him. It's very similar to the Ed Richards, Tom Liberatore types where they're scoring really well. George Hewitt, but we just don't really talk about them because we haven't seen it from them before. I remember when Jack Steele was first coming on as well, we were very similar where we just didn't pay enough attention before he was just a non-negotiable. It's not the worst pick. D, I'm going to hand this over to you as the Lions man. Hugh McCluggage, is he a top 8 option this year as a midfielder?
He's got potential to be on the fringe, I think. If you ask me at the moment, if I would rather Lachie Neale or Hugh McCluggage in my side, I'm going Hugh McCluggage. I can't believe I'm saying it, but he's just not a tag risk. We saw a little bit of attention when they played St Kilda, but apart from that, the man has just roamed free and he's so good on the outside. But I think what's best is he's really built his inside game. Now, you look at him, and I've met him, a lot of times over the years, and each year those arms are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, really filling out his body. So, yeah, the talent's there. I definitely think he's an option as a pod, definitely, but I'd still have Josh Dunkley ahead at this stage.
Awesome. I think Huey McCluggage would look great in the Saints uniform, don't you think, Roscoe, in that Saints midfield?
Bugger off, Janath. Not a chance. He's a line for life, mate. Line for life, Huey. I'll bookmark that.
All right, Roscoe. Who would win in a one-on-one, Scobes or JG? I'm not sure what competition this is, but
I'm assuming this is a fight. I
would say so.
I need to tailor the tape. See the reach, the height, the weight, all that sort of stuff. But I say we add us in, we add Verns in, we go 7-man Money in the Bank ladder match. What's the prize?
That?
I would just be tossed around that ring, something shocking. I've seen you boys and how big you are compared to me. I'd be used as a weapon, like instead of the ladder or the steel chair, just use DR and I might win that way. Who knows?
Oh, that's good. That's good, mate. Jeffrey, given both players' upcoming run, their price to buy, who are you taking out, Sinks and Witt? Whoever doesn't come in this week will come in next week or the one after. I'm going Sinclair into Whitfield. Just look at the teams they play this week. GWS is Freo. Yes, it's at NG, but the break even there for Whitfield is, if I can just bring this up, I'm not sure why it's not working. But I'm pretty sure, 123. Whereas the Sinclair, it's 106 playing West Coast. Possible captaincy option as well. I'd go Sinclair, then Whitfield. Roscoe, you agree with that?
Yeah, if it's going to come in the week or the one after, then probably Sinclair first.
Yeah.
To capitalise on the nice matchup.
Agreed.
Awesome, mate. A bit stuck on whether to go Jordan Clark or to go with Boxley and get a few extra dollars with Zorko. So very similar here. Short buys Flynn. Sinclair and El Hawley is... so it could be El Hawley to Boxall, Clark to Zorko. So off Clark and Zorko, who are we going first?
I like this.
Yeah. You going Clark? I like Clark as well. Even though I have him at 5 and Zorko high, it's a personal preference sort of risk tolerance. And then El Hawley over Boxall. Boxall just doesn't fill you with much promise of his long-term job security. Thanks, mate.
Yep.
Will, best sub 600k midfielder to bring in this week? I think Tom Green or Josh Dunkley.
Yeah, I'll just keep on saying Dunkley. I need more answers, but if you're asking for the best one, I think it's Josh Dunkley this week.
Yeah. If you're a bit worried about the Lions' midfield rotation and how many mouths there are to feed, I don't think that Tom Green is that bad of an option. He rarely gets tagged. He's putting up scores which are very similar to Josh Dunkley. He's the only one apart from Finn Callahan that's really scoring really, really well in that midfield there.
Yeah, and technically
Awesome.
Jack Sinclair is a
Yeah.
midfielder. Don't forget as well.
Yeah.
He's a defender, and that's what we'd like
True.
to have him. But he's
Valid.
technically a mid as well. So
Valid. Yep. Good point. Burners. Hey lads, this is my team. I'm considering Peatling until buys, then flip. Daniel to Peatling looks good. Ranked 262. Well done, mate. That's awesome.
nice.
How many? There's a fair few rookies on field, is what I'm seeing. Oh, actually, it's not too bad. It's just in the midfield there. Hall, Hewitt, Hustwaite. Yes. I think trying to get Hustwaite off field is probably the big option here, because you've got Nevitt, Hall, Boxall, Hustwaite. You're going to have to field at least one of them in the next 2 weeks. But I'm not confident in any of them actually playing full games in the next 2 weeks, if that makes sense. So if there's a way to get rid of those two, get rid of one of them first, probably not Hustwaite or Boxall, but probably Nevitt. That's probably the way I'd be going before trying to sideways Daniel to Peatling. You could perhaps do best of both worlds and go Nevitt to El Hawley, Daniel to Peatling. But as we said before, Peatling, DR, you're not a fan of the Daniel to Peatling move?
I don't mind Peatling as a player, but yeah, how much are you gaining from it? And do you want James Peatling in there for the rest of the year over some of the other top 6 to 8 options that we've got? Probably not, but I don't hate the play as a general play.
Awesome. All right, Rossco, I'll give this one to you, mate. Really want Whitfield, so need to trade Levi for it. Reed, Trainer, Lindsay, and one of Sard, Hewitt, Cleary on field. Other option is hold Levi, trade Hewitt, get Holmes instead of Whitfield. Honestly, I think that's the move that I would go. I think Levi's still got money to make. Hold him through to the buys. He's got the scoring that Hewitt is a bit inconsistent with. And you can get in Sinclair as well. Whitfield still has a high enough BE that he'll probably drop another 30k before really bottoming out. DR?
Yeah, take the value.
Agree.
Yep. Awesome. Smashing through these, boys. All right. Jared, very disappointed in the GOAT, DR. Your boy's having a breakout year. I'm not sure who he's talking about. Is he talking about Chalky?
Yeah, the suitcase.
Currently M5. Yes. That's it. But Chalky to Hugh is a no-brainer. Am I missing something? That's for you, mate.
Yeah.
Chalky to Hugh. I wouldn't be going Chalky to Hugh, mate. I like you as a pick in isolation, but I tell you what, my first year of making Supercoach content, I reckon my 3rd or 4th video was a player profile on Hugh McCluggage. And I said, one day, I don't know exactly when, this isn't the year, but he will be an absolute out-and-out premium. I may have mentioned a couple of Brownlows in there, so I may have gone a little bit too far there. But as I mentioned, great inside game, great outside game. He's getting the CBAs. He can obviously have some damage up forward. He's been a little bit more accurate with his goal kicking as well, and obviously getting more responsibility with no tag. So love Huey as an option, but I do not like going from old gold Chalky Neal to the suitcase. Find another way, mate.
Awesome. All right, the Don, but he's got a Carlton DP. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Maybe
Hey, lads, appreciate the effort. Undercover. 22 trades, 2 boos, 58k in the bank. So Flint Hill, Hawley, yes, tick that off. Short Sinclair, yep, tick that off. And then there we go. So Oliver to now I don't know how much money you'll have for that trade. Buys to Clark is a tick. TDK to Cherry.
Borderline tick.
Would you go TDK to Cherry ahead of buys to Clark?
No, nor trading Oliver. I would get rid of Bias and Oliver first.
Yeah, I'd be getting rid of
it'd be so
Bias
painful.
Oliver.
If you want to make your weekends better, TDK to Cherry may be the move because it's a VC option. But your team does have VC options. What I say, like if you didn't have Gorn and you had, I don't even know who you'd pair with TDK, like Rowan Marshall and TDK, and you didn't have Gorn and Sherry, then I may consider it more. But you've got Gorn there. At least you have one of those stable pillars there, mate. So yeah, buys to Clark, all good.
Option A.
If one is Gert by trades, could they go Flynn to Goldie?
Oh, Troy.
It sounds like
Troy
an abs magic move here.
I am 100% no on that. I don't know how you boys feel, but I love the fact you're thinking
No
outside of the box, Troy. But a no for me, mate. I can't get
No
Goldie.
way.
And if we're talking 10 years ago, I'm all over it. And he's in my team, but not in 2025, mate.
D, I've got a pun for you here, mate. Is this the real old gold?
Oh, absolutely. The definition of old gold. This bloke, Toddy Goldstein, for anyone that's just new to playing Supercoach or watching AFL, he was a Supercoach champion, that fella. He's spent many years in my team, Goldie, when he was at his peak. But, unfortunately passed it. But doing a great job. He was meant to be only coaching this year, but with the two other boys going down with APLs, he stepped up brilliantly, has Toddy.
1 year he scored, I think it was like 230, must have been in the final round. Not 230,
Nuts.
like two something, 200 and something in the final round of the season. It was pretty bonkers there. All right,
Yeah.
Fraser, am I able to bring in Duncliffe? I already have Neil, Will, Levi, and Zork.
Jeez, you love Lions more than me, mate. Neil,
Perhaps.
Will, Zorko. That'd be Levi's probably gone by then, so that'd be 4 primos. Look at the other teams on that buy. Your buy structure, mate. But if that's what you're running
15,
with, or 5 max, fine.
Round 16 buy. Yep. Awesome. Thoughts on Heaney? Mid-minutes haven't really gone down, but form is pretty average. I think with those kinds of players that are average, unless there's something that you see the previous week to suggest they will score well the next week, otherwise I would hold off on them. 132 break even. He's gone above the ton 4 times this season, but only one above 110. I think until you see a 130 or something in terms of 85% CBA to suggest he's a worthy trade-in, I don't think he can really go there, mate. But really good thinking outside the box there. Clayton, hey boys, who is the best captain this week outside of Gordon Cherry? Thanks for your help. Have a good week. Rossco, do you have any plays you want to shoot out before we put the official captain's corner out tomorrow?
It's hard without looking at the data. I think Bontempelli is probably not a bad shout this week, or a Bulldogs midfielder playing against Essendon. Just having a look at the other matchups for the round. I don't know whether you would consider maybe Rosie or a Butters against Geelong at Adelaide Oval.
I think, and boys, very quickly, I think Sack Butters will get the Ocean Mullen treatment this week. Ocean Mullen treatment this week.
Please, please, please. How about Jack Sinclair against West Coast? Is he? Is he?
Not a bad shout.
Because that was going to be possibly my backup with Sinclair versus the Eagles.
Whitfield against Fremantle. Yep.
And Ryan Marriage against St Kilda. Defenders Paradise.
Wow, how's that?
Well, we dropped the pod captain on Marriage last week, 125 or whatever it was he got.
Came through.
Why not? Again. Go again.
There we go.
And then I guess one other one we can also possibly keep in mind is a Nick Dacos bounce back against Adelaide. Tough midfield, but playing at the G. Something, but just has to make sure that you have the guts. It is a VC at the end of the day to consider there.
Yep.
Awesome. Sammy Roberts, how good was the footy last round? Beautiful, mate. Coming off a 2-5-2, a 2-4-2-5, have 20 trades left. Could use last boost from one of these. All right, let's have a look. Trading in Reed, O'Connell, Sinclair. So I think Sammy is saying that he can do a Ridley and keep up the consistent scores for D6 as long as possible. I think that's putting a lot of faith in Reed there, mate. What are the other trades? So Reed is in both of these. Is this a different set of trades? Oh, no, that is. Okay, gotcha. So buys Kako Flynn to Reed O'Connell Sinclair or Reed Sinclair Simpson?
Probably Simpson over O'Connell, I think. But
buys to Reed.
I just don't like Weiss to. But the thing is, if you think in do a Ridley and you got those vibes, mate, go for it. We probably think different. We don't have the confidence. I think we could probably summarise on Zach Reed, but he'll make a little bit of cash for you. But Janath mentioned before, I think with a different trade, you're pretty much locking in another trade. So you trade him in, then you probably trade him out again. I think anyway.
Awesome. With some iffy upgrades, looking to only get in players, I believe, will top 6 to 8 in the lines. Who do you boys think will fill these spots in? Cheers. All right. If it's okay, mate, I'm going to give my top 6 across the lines. And if you boys have any objections, feel free to go about it. Okay?
Done.
So the team at the end of this year that I want to have, I'm not saying who's going to be D1 to D6 here, but the team I want to have, Whitfield, Sinclair, Clark, where is it? Sinclair, Clark, Rosie, Zorko, Holmes, Wangani, Malera. So 6 of those 7 in the defense. Then in the midfield, Brayshaw, Dacos, Butters, Bont, Green, Tom Green. And then it's a bit tough at M7 and M8. And I think you can throw a blanket over a number of players that could equally fill those spots. Your Dunkleys, your Merritt, your Sarong, Ed Richards, those types. Your ruck is pretty obvious, I think, is Gorn and Cherry. And then you could even say TDK in the flex, maybe the best flex play. And then in the forward line, I think it's pretty stable. And I think a lot of coaches has this top 6 already. Bailey Smith, Horn Francis, Chad Warner, Jack McRae, Christian Petrarca, Isaac Rankin.
Ryan Marriage.
Yeah.
Ryan Marriage, you could equally say, yeah. But is that pretty fair?
Yeah, I think that's about
like
on the
Jordan
board.
Dawson as another midfield option that could make a push.
The only one I'd
those
throw
are probably
in there
the place, yeah.
as a super pod down back is maybe Lockie Ash, if he can continue to go
Sorry,
on his way.
Have missed him.
But I
playing
think
really well.
you really summarised that well, mate.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Awesome. We'll go on to the next question then. Boys, Tom Green versus Josh Dunkley this week. I'd love a discussion there. I need midfielders. All right. That's a great point you bring up there. Tom Green, really interesting pick for the matter of the fact is we know what he can do when he scores really well. He scores this season may actually surprise you boys because he's gone above 110 5 times in 8 games. So 115, 89, 128, 113, 117, 84, 101, 125. Plays Richmond, West Coast, North Melbourne once each. And obviously avoids the Bedford tags. Doesn't really get tagged himself anyway. Whereas Dunkley is a bit of an interesting one because he's got 173 and 139, but his other scores haven't really sort of set the world on fire as an owner, that is, of Josh Dunkley. I'd almost lean the way of Tom Green. 15K difference. What do you boys think?
I think I prefer Dunkley. I just don't like watching Tom Green. That's all it is.
That's very fair. Very fair. There you are.
I'm going Dunkley just because, and it's funny. It might be hypocritical because I said I'd go Clark over Holmes before because Clark's more consistent. But I just think with Dunkley, I do like the fact that he's shown more of a ceiling for me this year. So I'm going to side with Josh Dunkley, I think, on this one. And again, Dunkley, I don't think there's a chance that he gets tagged. I think there's still a chance there may be a couple of Tom Green tag games in there if they decide not to go to Callaghan, for example. So that's another little thing I'd take into consideration. But if you're looking for a lone wolf move and that real pod pick, then Tom Green is the pod pick over someone like a Dunkley.
Yeah. And that leads into the next question. Thoughts on Tom Green as a pod trade in this week? Would you give it a tick off if someone wanted to trade in Tom Green? We're ticking it off.
Oh, I'm ticking it off.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, I'm ticking it off if you like him. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Tim, long-time pod listener, thank you so much, mate.
Hi, Timmy.
Honestly, the podcast wouldn't run without people like yourself, mate. First up, Chera or Ashcroft? I'm assuming that is off the Levi variety. Second, should I go a big premier like Brayshaw or Whitfield or play cheap with Dunks or Tom Green? Noting Rosie will be DPP. I think this is where you got to play the value game, mate. Like Brayshaw, It's tough. It's really tough when you don't have those top enders, but they will inevitably drop in price, like they just do. Dunkley or Tom Green, I think both of them will be fine trade-ins. Chera, you could even hold through. Like, you don't necessarily need to get another upgrade in this week and just hold Chera. That's just another way you could do it.
Well, that's what I'm doing. So that would be my recommendation, to actually hold Chera, but it's not for everyone. Not for everyone. I'm just looking at that nice juicy fixture after his buy, so we can cover for the next one's personal opinion, though. Can see why you wouldn't just want to get rid of him.
Rossco?
Yeah, look, I'm holding Chera as well. I think we can get through to his buy with him. His scoring hasn't really been that bad.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, lads, long-term listener. Now, this is music to my ears coming up. I want some thoughts on splitting Gorn next week at 740k. He'll have a huge break even and could get 2 premiers for him. All since 6 weeks has Wits, Rob, and Cherry 3 games in a row. Come on. Look.
What a strategy.
It's not a move for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. 740k is a lot of money.
My question would be, when you say you're splitting him, who are you actually getting in? So if you're splitting Gorn, who else are you getting in the rucks would be my question. I want him in my side that bad. Look, it's a tactic. Maybe it depends. If you started with him, you might be happier because you haven't wasted trade getting him in. I would say it's an elephantitis move, a very, very ballsy move. But I couldn't do it myself, mate. But good luck if you do.
Supercoach Gold has Max Gorn scoring below 153 times, less than 153 times for the remainder of the season. They don't think he will drop under 700k.
Really?
The lowest price they have him projected at for the rest of the season is 738k. There we go. Big fella Supercoach. Thoughts? Using my last boost this week. Not the biggest fan of trading Chera, but allows me to bank cash for an upgrade next week. So, Ross, Bice, Chera, Daniel to Martin, El Hawley, Sinclair. I feel like we've seen this trade.
Yeah. Can you click
before.
in for the cash?
Yeah.
Does it say cash?
No cash.
No. Yeah, it depends who you've got. I don't mind trading Daniel. Sorry, scroll up.
Oh, sorry.
I wouldn't tick that off. You look at Chera and Daniel on the side. You got Martin and Sinclair. If you could keep one of those guys, I'd be keeping one of Chera and Daniel.
Yeah, maybe Saber boost and chop Nick Martin.
Yeah. Really don't know what to do this week. Do I downgrade Caleb Daniel to Philippa, trade like a Tom Grossin? I don't know what to do. If Daniel's dropped, I think the easiest thing to do is trade into Philippa, mate.
Agree. Yep.
Hey, lads, hope you're well. Really unsure what to do. I'm thinking a double downgrade to make some cash. There's no moves. If you don't know what to do, mate, just hold trades. I wouldn't do a double downgrade in a week where there's no rookies. Awesome. Sharp. Hey, guys, thoughts on these trades? Daniel to Filippo, DeConning to Cherry, or is it 2 sideways? Already have 7 round 12 buy players. So this would make it 6 if you did this.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it would.
DeConning?
Daniel and DeConning are both round 12. Yeah. All good. Each their own, I think. With these kinds of trades, I think we saw this exact trade earlier.
I'm just the trouble for me is, right, I actually don't mind it, but I can't advocate something that I'm not doing myself.
Yeah.
So if I'm not doing it myself, probably actually do it with the season I've had so far. So, but that's the issue with me. I want to keep on to these blokes and upgrade around them.
Awesome. Ian, still haven't emotionally got over Neil Captimus, Cherry. I think you've got 2 people sharing that sentiment with you, mate. That being said, how do you like your steak cooked?
Medium.
I won't answer first because I think I'll get ridiculed, but
I'm going medium, mate. Medium.
Roscoe?
Medium rare with Diane sauce.
Oh, adding some sauce on. What are you getting ridiculed about? What do you do wacky stuff with your steak? Or
medium well.
Medium well.
I don't want to eat a steak that's still alive.
Jeez, you're right, mate.
That's just me.
But it just melts.
No, my pop was like that. Plenty of salt on there. He loved it. That's fine, mate. No judgment there. As long as you don't eat bloody old gold, I'm right with you.
Awesome. Karen Humphrey, would you trade Daniel before him this week? Looking at a triple upgrade. I think the decision will be made on Thursday if Daniel's dropped. If he's dropped, you got to trade him. But I think you can equally mount a case that Humphrey, playing at TIO, loves the TIO game. You could just hold him through. The thing with Daniel is he has his buy in 2 weeks, and you could easily just move him on at his buy if you really wanted to. But obviously the awkward part is given that it's the first bye week.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fine to fade Sinclair for a week? Grab Dunkley and get him the next week as Sinclair's B is 106.
Absolutely fine.
Yes. Fine.
It's fine. The next question, which Ural do you take, please? Obviously has to be the far right. If it's not the far right or the far left.
I reckon
Oh,
the
sorry,
two characters...
taking. Oh, sorry. You cannot wait and you have to go somewhere. Oh, jeez.
I know this one. Well, the way that I see it, the two blokes that are at the ends, they just want a bit of privacy, just keep to themselves type thing. The two blokes in the middle, they're quite happy to hang it out, have a convo and all the rest. So I'm going to be a good bloke and I'm going to take the one next to the two in the middle just to give the other blokes a bit of privacy and jump in on the conversation, what's ever happening with the other two lads there. So I'm taking the one next to the two in the middle.
Jeez, Dia, that's how you know you're a very social person. When I'm in the toilet, I don't want to speak to anyone. I'm just waiting to go to one of the corners, mate. Rossco,
get in there on the left, pants down to the ankles, power move.
Oh, nice! It was the power move with all four there. I'll let Rossco just go. There you go, boys.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'd be going on the right.
Doesn't need a belt with Rossco.
Hey guys, hardest upgrade week so far. Would you consider Bison Daniels to Sinclair and a rookie, or Holmes and Phillip? Phillip? Who's Phillip? Oh, Phillippo. Sorry. I was like, Will Phillips? Can't afford Sinclair and the Pooh. Please share your wisdom. Many thanks.
Holmes and Pooh, I reckon.
So I'm very confused here. That is Daniel. Yeah. Caleb Daniel, yeah. For Holmes and Phillippo.
Yeah.
I do Holmes and Phillippo and then Sinclair next week, perhaps. If you
Agreed.
do that.
Agreed.
I don't want to go early on Cooper Simpson.
Yeah. Awesome. Jason, love the content, boys. I feel I must bring in Cherry this week since not owning him. Honestly, with these sort of things, if you feel like you have to own a player, I don't think we should be able to convince you out of it because we can't really determine the mentality that you have when seeing Cherry go 180, because I prefer to just pay out for a player, knowing that I am in safety of numbers. I'm not going to have my weekend ruined by a player scoring 140 points and a half. For that reason, yeah, I'd tick this off.
Well,
and you're not trading at TDK. You're not trading at TDK. Yeah. Awesome. All right, boys, almost there now. Option 1, Bice Daniel to Sinclair Sard. Or option 2, Bice Daniel Cleary to Sinclair Peatling Boxall. So Cleary to Peatling.
Option 1.
Option 1.
1. But I don't mind the Peatling pick at all. Not at all. We've just got a team here from Ned.
Oh, I think that might be Neddy's got another question. I think that maybe
perhaps. Or perhaps this was previous question. But I think we answered your question before, Ned. All good, mate. Hey, fellas. Hope all is well. I'm 50-50 whether to go Martin or Warner this week. I like them both. Next week, Cheran, Daniel to Pooh and Nakos. Don't mind it at all, mate.
Yeah.
So Bison Hewitt to Warner and Simpson. Warner, the ship hasn't sailed, DR. What symbol will you putting in the stocky?
That has been one of the hardest symbols to work out this week because I think that the ship is almost sailing with this pick. I don't want to pay too much more for Chad Warner because of his variance in scoring. So it's so hard because you can't put the rock solid on it, can you? For me, it's probably always going to be that roller coaster type symbol because that's what you get with Chad Warner. You get your floor and then you get your massive ceiling. So good flex player, I think. I don't think it's too late, but this would be the last week I'd be advocating get him in, most likely.
Rossco?
Yeah, I'm not such a fan of the Chad Warner pick. Like, he completely burned me last year. I don't really like. I don't know. Maybe I just play this game with too much bias, and that's where I sit. Tom Green just butchers the footy. Like, I don't like to watch him play. Chad Warner scored a 40 in my elimination final last year in one of my mates' leagues and bombed me out by like 2 points. Like, ouch. Just don't like it. But in terms of that, I can see you've already got Sard. So I think Warner and Simpson, decent trades for Bison Hewitt.
Yeah, awesome, mate. All right, we're almost done. Last question. You reckon Will Ashcroft will get DPP? And if he does, would it be smart to trade out Warner as by a cash grab? Ooh, I think it's very difficult to say. I just had a look at Will Ashcroft's numbers. It looks like he still needs to play a fair bit forward, probably about 50% in both the next 2 weeks when DPPs come in at the end of round 11, ahead of round 12. It'll be close. I wouldn't be banking on Will Ashcroft getting DPP, though. So maybe it's good to plan in advance, but it's hard to plan in advance of something that isn't confirmed. You don't want to put your eggs in one basket before everything comes crashing down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, I do not think that Will Ashcroft will be getting DPP. That's just my prediction. And no, I don't think it's a relatively smart move to be trading out Chad Warner. He'd just be someone I'd be keeping for the rest of the year. And I'd be looking to trade out those blokes that you don't see as keepers for the rest of the year. So that would be my opinion anyway. Roscoe, anything different for you, mate?
No, I don't think I'd be trading Chad Warner, even though I've just said I don't really like the pick. I think if you've got him now, there's probably not too many other better forward options that I would consider to be a big improvement.
Yeah. Speaking of DPP, Zach Merritt needs to play 60 to 70% deep forward time in both the next 2 games to get forward DPP. Very unlikely, but weirder things have happened.
Yeah,
weirder things have happened for
Give
sure.
Elijah his midfield time. Give Sardis his midfield time. Jeez, come on. Get his tog up.
Well, on that, boys, I think... I'll just stop sharing here. That brings us to the end of the mailbag potty. I think this probably helps us out a little bit. It also helps you guys sort of separate out the potty from the mailbag. You have the potty, you have the mailbag. You don't lose either of them, but it just gives us a bit of time to sort of just mull through the questions that I know some of you specifically want to hear, whereas other people just want the meat of the potty there. So that wraps up for us. It's been about 3 hours of recording, but for you guys, you get 2 banger videos out of it. Lads, any final words?
I think I'm all right.
Yeah, I think it's bedtime for us all. But just again, a big shout out to all the community. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We do love all of your questions, and we do commit to answer each and every one of them each week. I think we're one of the only potties that does that. But the reason we do it is because we really do appreciate your support. We're willing up to give the time to do it. Hopefully our advice is as on point as possible. But you got to remember, we're only average Joes and humans ourselves. If we had a crystal ball, we could get into the coach's mind, it would be fantastic. But so many of these questions are line ball calls, and we would love to sit on the fence, but we try not to help you out as much as possible. But yeah, main thing is thanks for the support from the community, and great to sit down with you 2 lads again. Always great on Tuesday night.
Awesome, lads. So I think we'll leave it there. But yes, good luck for this week. Hopefully all your trade plans go well and your Supercoach team performs well. Stay tuned for the Captain's Corner dropping on the 3rd man up, as well as the Rookie Dart Dump. And yes, stay tuned for next week's episode of the Supercoach Swordplay podcast. Cheers.
All right, lads.